What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're having a good week as always. I'm here to talk about 4 stories today, but the first one is probably the one that people want to hear least but need to hear most, and that is right-wing woes from somebody who was supporting Bernie, I guess, and thinking the revolution was coming through the left. I saw how the left collapsed, and I see the same thing happening on the right in many ways. So I want to talk about first, I know that's the story probably least exciting that people at least want to hear, but it's the one that people need to hear most, which is right-wing woes. Will the right wing make the same exact mistakes as the left? We'll talk about that. Second story is about Ellen. She backed Kevin Hart, and she said that he deserves another chance at the Oscars. I'm going to talk about that, why it's pretty weird since she dances around with warmongers, including one who is responsible for slave trade, organ harvesting, and open-air slave markets in Libya, yet she won't even speak to President Trump, but she has no problem backing Kevin Hart, which is nice, but we're going to talk about that all the way around. Third story we're going to talk about is jobs. There's a big report from December that came out that the amount of jobs added was like 100,000 plus, even bigger than they thought it was going to be. Why that's important, of course, when we have the economy doing well, and this is what a lot of activists, even on the left, have been complaining about, that there weren't enough jobs. We'll talk about that very slightly. In the fourth story, probably a little more entertaining, is Tim Cook. I almost called him Tim Apple, but he's the CEO of Apple now, and he had a really bad quarter, and it looks like he's maybe on his way out or almost on his way out. And I can't say I'm surprised when you fight non-existent oppression, and instead of running your business, that's usually what might happen. So those are a few stories. We're going to talk about it. The first story, give me about a couple minutes. I'm going to pin something to the top. We'll chat real quick, and then we'll begin. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for joining. Linda from Texas, I appreciate you. I want to say something real quick, too. I said it on Twitter. I just want to repeat it. Hold on. We're in for a bumpy ride here in America. I mean, today we have people swearing in on the Bible that don't believe in God, and they're claiming to uphold the Constitution, which they don't even respect or appreciate. So America is in for a really, really bumpy ride, and I would say just get prepared and ready. I'm not saying anything's bad's gonna happen. You know, I'm very optimistic. I always have fun. I'm grateful and everything. But like I said, I'm gonna repeat it. We have people swearing in on the Bible that don't believe in God, saying that they promise to uphold the Constitution, which they don't believe in, respect, or appreciate either. So they're not going to uphold this. We definitely have an insurgence in the House, and a lot of it is responsible for many reasons, but that's why the first story I'm talking about is so important, because we could sit in a group and agree all the time, and I could tell you what you want to hear, and we could laugh about it, but the goal is to awaken all of humanity. The goal is to win elections in America and make sure that a far left takeover doesn't happen. The goal is to prevent really bad things from happening. So that's the goal. And I feel like I watch the left completely collapse in front of my eyes, and I see the same exact things happening on the right, and nobody's listening to me. And I know people don't want to hear it. I know this is probably going to be unpopular. People are going to leave the live stream. But this is the thing that people need to hear, because it's more important than agreeing with me. It's more important than my critiques of the left, where if people are left-wing and they watch my channel, I do that all the time. Hopefully they take that and use it to their advantage as opposed to getting upset. But today's about the right-wing woes. So we'll wait about a minute for everyone to come in. Thank you guys for joining. We'll start it off positive before we get into a little dark cloud, but it's not really going to be dark. It's some real life situations that we need to confront. Wava Elise, hello. Sherry, God bless, thank you. Joe said, I hear you, bro, and I see it too. Yvonne said, balance is what it's all about. Facts. Candy said, the right is just as effed up. Absolutely. Chris said, to arms. I hear you. Kelly said, I hear you, I agree. Let's get it cracking. I gotta stretch real quick. All right, so first story I want to talk about today is the right-wing woes, and is the right wing going to make the same mistakes as the left. Like I said last election, I didn't want the right wing to win. Although I can't say I was like super left wing or liberal, but I saw, what I'm trying to say is, I saw from the inside how something collapses absolutely completely. I said things very early on that nobody wanted to listen, they didn't want to hear, and then Donald Trump won the election and everyone was upset and they're like, how could that happen? But it's because they allowed it to happen, and I see the right wing making a lot of these mistakes. I'm going to start on a personal note today because something happened on my Instagram, and then I'm going to go to like 3 or 4 more things that hopefully just please consider, listen to what I'm saying. So I posted a video on Instagram today of Nick Cannon because he said, nothing stops a bullet like a job. And he had this whole poem that was basically calling out America. And a lot of the things he was saying was very valid. But he said, nothing stops a bullet like a job. So I posted that video. I posted the jobs report, how 300,000 plus jobs were added. I tagged him and I said, Nick Cannon, very respectfully, I was like, Nick, you know, I appreciate what you're doing. You're standing up for Kevin Hart. I agree with you. But all the things you complained about in this poem, he complained about like 6 valid things. Trump is actually doing them all. Prison reform, ending the wars, bringing the troops home, you know, breaking the 2-party system, adding jobs. I know he said in that. So I was breaking down to Nick Cannon how what Trump is doing is everything he said in that poem. So this is the line of communication that I have, and this is the energy field I operate in, and it works very well because you're not talking down to somebody, you're not hating on somebody, you're not making false accusations. But for some reason, the right wing, not everybody, once again, when I say right wing, it's like when I say left wing. I'm not saying everybody, but it seems to be a trend big enough that I'm talking about. They think they have the same ideology as the left. Although they have different policy preferences, they have different ideals, they have this weird thing where they think they're better than them. Like the liberals think they're so much better than you because they're liberal. They're saving the world, they're rescuing everybody, and you're racist, sexist, and xenophobic because you're not liberal. Let's go to the right wing. They think just because they're into conspiracy theories and they read a message board, or maybe they watched a few YouTube videos or supported President Trump, all valid things, I'm not knocking it, they think that they're so great and everybody else outside their realm is an evil Luciferian pedophile and Zionist shill working for Mossad, and it's simply not true. Are some people? Absolutely. I'm not here to cover up things and say that these things don't exist. Everything exists. So I'm not saying that's not a real thing, but what I'm saying is on the right wing, you have the same problem. They think just because they know this stuff that they're so virtuous and better than everybody because they call everybody that. So on the left, when you say everyone's racist, sexist, xenophobic, what you're actually doing is covering up racism, sexism, and xenophobia because, I'll give you an example that makes maybe a little bit more sense. If you have 10 people in a line and one of them's a pedophile and 9 of them aren't, but you call all 10 of them pedophiles, are you exposing pedophilia or are you actually covering up for it because now nobody knows who's who? You're covering up for it. It's what the left does. The right does it as well. So the reason I'm talking about this because of my Nick Cannon post is I post this very direct line to Nick Cannon. You have to understand too, I have rapper friends who have been on Wild 'N Out. You know what I'm saying? I'm one line away from Nick Cannon. I know who he is. I know people who know him. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't agree with him on everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we're in the same plane of thought. But I don't think he's like a top Illuminati shill or anything. I mean, I know he's not. He's spoken out against that several times. So people, one of the top comments is, Nick Cannon, the reason he's lying is because he's a Luciferian shill for the dark order of the world or something. And it's got a lot of up-likes. A lot of people agree with it. Because that's the right wing. They think they're, you know, very woke just because they figured out that some people are like this. So now they want to paint it with a broad brush and say that every celebrity and every entertainer is a Luciferian. It's just not true. You could lie to yourself and say, Anomaly, you're a shill or whatever, but you could go in your echo chamber where you call everybody Luciferians and maybe you'll feel good about yourself and you'll think you're better. It's just not real. It's not true. And when you do that, here's what you're actually doing. One, you're covering up the real dark energy that really does exist. I mean, everybody knows it on the right. It's very real. But where is it? You know what I'm saying? You got to pinpoint with accuracy. And if you paint with a broad brush, you're not helping, you're not solving it, you're not creating it, you're actually covering it up. It's like to me, it's very sophomoric. When I was 19 and 18, I was like, ooh, the Illuminati. Like, it was a broad statement I said because I didn't know what was going on. But now I could pinpoint who's who. The UN, these news sources, these leaders, these people. I know who's who. It's not like a broad statement anymore. And that's why we've had more successes, because we know who's who. So not only does it do that, you're lying about someone who's not that, but also now you're destroying my line of communication with that person. Like, Kanye West was awakened because maybe he saw Candace Owens' video, or he had an awakening. Kanye West was not awakened because people yelled at him and called him a Luciferian. Same with Nick Cannon. Like, I understand he said some things people don't agree with. He said a lot of things I don't agree with, literally. You know what I'm saying? We don't see eye to eye politically. We don't see eye to eye socially. But I know that Nick Cannon is not a shill. He's just a comedian, entertainer who thinks differently. And that's okay. You know, it's not always that dark and sinister. Sometimes it is, but what I'm saying is not all the time it is. So not only are you lying about who he is, you're covering up for actual Luciferians who probably really do exist and do bad stuff, but now you're also destroying my line of communication. That now if Nick Cannon, who's a human being, if he comes to my Instagram post and he sees all these comments saying he's a Luciferian, he's a terrible person, he's this and he's that, do you think he looks at my post now and says, I'm going to consider what Anomaly's saying because it's valid, relevant, logical, and not very, off-putting? No, he's going to take it as a threat, because now all of the comments are personally attacking him and calling him all these horrible things, which in turn could get him and his family hurt. When you make big lies about somebody, and like I said, I'm not saying that these people don't exist. I'm just saying Nick Cannon's not one of them. And what annoys me about the right, why I'm saying this, is people tend to do that. They make these broad brush statements. They say all entertainers are like this, all musicians are like this, and some of them are. Some of them really, really are, but all of them aren't. Not every musician or entertainer that disagrees with you is working for the Illuminati cabal. Some of them probably are, but is Nick Cannon, just because he said something that you disagree with? No, the whole poem that Nick Cannon was actually talking about was exposing all the stuff. That's why I posted it. It's not because he was covering it up. He was exposing all the stuff that I'm talking about, but I was saying, Nick, Trump's doing all this stuff. I get why you wanted that to happen. So that's just one example. And then I'm getting all these messages from people. Why'd you block that guy? I ended up deleting the whole post, but it's like now they're starting a little civil war on my Instagram just because I don't want somebody ruining my line of communication with somebody who my friends are friends with, and they're making false accusations about. Very, very simple. Move on to I know everybody always asks me about QAnon. I've talked about it dozens of times, and that's just one sector. There's many other sectors. It's not that this information isn't valid. It's not that these things aren't happening, but when someone doesn't want to play along with your little games and you call them a Zionist shill or they're working for the cabal and they're an agent, you're not a revolutionary because you lie about other people. And I can't stand when the left does that with racism, sexism, xenophobia. I can't stand when the right does it. And people think now hear me out, because I'm going to walk through this whole world. And I'm not talking about policy. I'm not talking about trajectory. I'm simply talking about ideology and psychology. It's the same mistakes that the left was using. The left thinks, I'm a liberal, I'm a progressive, I'm virtuous and better than you, and I have to smear your name, smear your character, and destroy your character assassination on you just because you don't see eye to eye with me on this issue. That's literally what the left does. That's what I'm not saying all of it, but that's what a lot of the right is starting to do. Oh, you don't want to play along with my message board games? Oh, you don't want to agree with me that Nick Cannon's a Luciferian? I'm going to smear and destroy and ruin your character and your credibility, and I'm going to make up false accusations about you just because we don't see eye to eye in that. It's the same exact psychology, and it's a failing, losing, super stupid, super naive, super fake, super cover-up. It's not helping. You're not exposing everything. Like I said, if there's 20 people in the line, one of them's the murderer, or two of them are the murderers, or three of them are the murderers, and you just say you're all murderers because you have association, you've worked with him, you're in the same industry as him, you're not exposing murders. You're covering up for murders. You're making it so the lines of reality are blurred. Everything's racist, everything's sexist, everything's xenophobic, everything's this. Now nothing's that. Now we don't know what's going on. People can get murdered in certain countries based on their race and religion, and no one cares about it. Why does no one care about it? Because everybody's talking about the lie. It's the same thing on the right. And I know this is hard for people to understand. I know it's hard because so many people think they're so virtuous and special. That's why when I talk about Ben Shapiro to, what's his name? Jordan Peterson to Candace Owens or anyone, no matter how critical I may be at the time of certain people, I always tell you how good what they're doing is. I always tell you why it's important, because it's a puzzle piece. It's not, oh, I'm anomaly and I'm the best one and I'm waking up everybody and everybody else sucks and everyone else needs to shut up and go away because I'm the greatest and if you don't agree with me, you're shill. I never say that because it's not true. I would be lying to myself. It would be an ego grab. It would be some sort of like inner problems that I'm bringing on to other people. It's, some sort of narcissist like, oh, I have all the information no one else has. No, I pay respect to the legends before me, the Alex Joneses, the David Ikes, the Robert Anton Wilsons, the people who've been talking about from Bill Hicks to Bill Cooper, not Bill Hicks, I meant Bill Cooper, or whatever his name is. It's like a lot of people have been covering this stuff, so I don't own this stuff. It's just something that I talk about sometimes, and other times I don't. This is not mine. The right wing has this weird problem. It's like this thing going on, and it's not true. It's not accurate. It's not fair. It's not just. It's actually becoming very counterproductive. On that note, another thing that I saw the left wing do that totally, contributed to their demise was they constantly gave attention and promotion to things that they don't like. You could look at Hillary Clinton's, internal stuff or whatever that's now been made public, where it was part of their strategy. It was called the Pied Piper strategy. They purposely boosted up certain candidates like Trump because they thought they'd be easy to beat. So they fueled the fire that they couldn't stop. And partially, they purposely did that. They thought Trump was a weak, easy candidate. They fueled him up, and now Trump, look at him. He's a fire that nobody can put out. Trump is the fire that's taking over the world, and I'm very grateful for that. But the psychology and the philosophy behind what they did was, let's give this guy all the attention and promotion, make him the straw man, and then we'll beat the straw man. But the problem is, if you don't beat the straw man, what happens? President Donald Trump's in the White House, so your straw man that you tried to create is now the leader of the free world, and he's crushing you, and he's so big and powerful that no one can really get close to him. Now let's go to the right. They do the same exact thing with nearly everything, but especially Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. All they do is talk about her. All they do is promote her. When I logged into Twitter today, all I saw was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I'll tell you what, not a single left-wing person was promoting her. It was all right-wing people, and to be honest, maybe 10 or 20% of that stuff was actually a funny, decent post or something that questioned her beliefs in a way that maybe would have red-pilled somebody on the left, but almost entirely it was ridiculous banter, ridiculous perception, and the exact reason that the right wing is getting crushed in the culture war, in entertainment, in all of these arts and stuff. It's not just because there's Luciferians running the whole operation. It's because you make really dumb mistakes and think that you're above making mistakes because you're right wing. And it's like, that's the same ideology the left wing has. Like, no, I don't need self-accountability because I'm right wing. I have self-accountability. Self-accountability is not something that you just talk about. It's not something I go on here, turn off, and then just start slashing through the forest. Like, it's a thing that you use. It's like spirituality and religion and whatever. These aren't just things that you say you do. There's something that you're supposed to actively do. So I like the fact that the right wing has self-accountability built into it. But when you start bringing up self-accountability in ways that people don't want to have self-accountability, all of a sudden the right wing doesn't want to hear about, no, I don't need to hear that because I'm a right winger and only the left wing. What are you trying to mess us up? No, that's what you're supposed to do. And with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's already bigger than Donald Trump in many ways on Twitter. I mean, she's getting hundreds of thousands of retweets. Why? Because the right wing promotes her. And not only, I've made videos debunking her and stuff. The big scoop yesterday, I was just cringing and I was embarrassed at how goofy it was. They were making fun of her for dancing in high school. First of all, she looked extremely hot, way hotter than she looks now. No offense, but she looked really hot. She's dancing. She's smiling. Like, I like to dance. Maybe you don't like to dance. Maybe you do. I hope you do. But like, when I go out on the weekends or I have fun, I don't care if people are liberal or conservative. You know, some of my liberal friends I prefer more, you know, to go out with. And some of my conservative friends I prefer more. I don't care what their politics are. I'm going to dance. I'm going to drink. To be honest, on the weekends, I don't really want to talk about politics. I don't want to be at the bar and have someone talk my ear off for an hour about Justin Trudeau. I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to have a good time. I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to dance to, you know, 70s music or whatever. I'm trying to have a good time. So making fun of somebody dancing is one of the most foolish, goofy, you know, counterproductive things you could possibly do, because dancing is fun. I don't care if it's Trump dancing, Nancy Pelosi dancing, Alexandria, especially when she looks pretty good doing it. I mean, it's a little goofy, but it was cute. And it doesn't make you look good. It doesn't make, do you think it makes 17 and 18-year-olds? You have to understand, you just lost the midterm election. Maybe they cheated a little bit. Maybe they did all these weird tactics in California. But overall, I'll tell you, even from my voting booth, in the past, it's all older people. Young people don't really vote. For the midterms, young people came out in record numbers, and they really did, because I saw them. There were no elderly people at my voting booth. It was all 18 to 21-year-olds with their little Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez cutouts telling them who to vote for. Do you think making fun of her dancing is going to make 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds be like, oh, yeah, we were wrong about the conservatives and Republicans being boring and lame and not cool at all. And, you know, they don't care about jobs. They don't care about health insurance. They just don't. And maybe they will when they're older. Maybe they won't. But here's the thing. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you want to lose elections. Maybe you want to just talk to the echo chamber. Maybe you want the left to continue to just, you know, run academia and run the youth and lead them in the wrong direction. And you just want to complain about it. Me, I don't want to do that. I want to solve the problem. You know, I want to cut through the ugly things that people might get mad. Like I said, you know, I'm having a record number of people drop out of this live stream because people don't want to hear the truth when it's not making them look good, when it's making them self-reflect, learn, and listen. And the truth is, the right wing is making these same exact mistakes as the left wing. They're putting out, it's energetic. Behind policy and politics, there's energy. There's, you know, psychology, there's things that just aren't going to bend over just because you think that you're right or better than someone. Like, there's a reason that history repeats itself often. There's a reason that great empires always fall. And I see those reasons, and I'm trying to point them out. There's a reason that Rome fell. There's a reason that Germany fell. There's a reason that the Soviet Union fell. There's a reason that, you know, certain states went from taking over the whole world to now having a little spot the size of Rhode Island, because they made certain mistakes. And when it comes to politics and the modern era, I could see those mistakes. And it's deeper than just policy, because you got to get people to vote for you. That's the goal. It doesn't matter if you're right. I mean, it should. Absolutely. I don't disagree. But the goal is to get people to come out and vote for you. And right wing is doing a really, really bad job of it. And I'm not saying, you know, there's a lot of improvement, just not to be totally negative. There's been tremendous improvement over the last couple of years. Huge improvement, from Trump to a lot of younger people to Kanye to, you know, a lot of former liberals and stuff. We've made a lot of leeway, and that's really, really great. But my thing is, and maybe this is off-putting to some, I'm not the type to just pat myself on the back. Even I make a video that has 4 million views. I'm already over it. I mean, I enjoy it, but like, I don't pat myself on the back for 2 years and like, wow, I went viral. I'm viral the next day. It's because I don't sit and congratulate myself. It's back to business. It's back to work. You know, that's how I treat myself. So that's how I treat others. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's true. And I just want to give you an example. Not that it matters to me or anything. I'm very, very fine. And I honestly want to avoid a lot of media attention anyway, because it's a lot of low energy crabs. And then everyone's going to lie about me on the left and the right. And everyone's going to try to drag me down with false accusations. So I'm in no rush to get there. But I just want to give you an example. Over the last 2 weeks, or over the last month, I put out a song with a platinum rock group about bringing America together. Very high budget video, you know, a song that's clean, no curse words. It could be used on radio. It could be used on television. A left-wing person could watch it and be like, yes, I agree with that. You know, I made it purposely palatable for everybody. I made it as big as I could possibly make it. It did good. It got 250,000 views. My song Come Together with Trapped. The point it could be used for, you know, major sporting events. I'm not saying it has to, but the point I'm making is I lobbed conservatives and Republicans with something that they don't have. They don't have the culture. They don't have the music industry. They don't have the entertainment industry. They're almost getting monopolied out of that entire thing. I threw them the biggest lob I possibly could. No press, no news organizations picked it up. Definitely all you guys promoted it a lot, and so did a lot of people. I'm not being ungrateful for a second. Like, I really appreciate you guys helped that get to 250,000 views, but no major conservatives promoted it. And the point I'm trying to make is I don't care. It's not all about me. I don't need the attention. But they've spent more energy promoting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez dancing over the last day than they have the fact that a platinum rock group went out on a limb to make a song, a pro-America song basically, with somebody like myself who's very outspoken, put themselves out on a limb to lob it up to conservatives. Here, you want to win the culture war? You want to actually have a footing in entertainment and music? Make that go on, and then I could go around and actually talk to these people and show the kids that this is cool, that self-accountability is cool, that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders aren't cool. I could do that very effectively, very simply, and kids will love it. I'm very in tune with hip-hop culture and the youth, very much so. I would say more than almost any other conservative news analyst. And I'm not hating, but it's like they go up there and talk about jobs. And I'm going to talk about jobs later, but certain people don't want to hear that. So they spend all their energy promoting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez dancing. Congratulations, you just gave Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez 100,000 new fans to then wrap them into the socialist communist ideology for them to be misled and destroyed. Yet, there's no promotion over here for and I'm not even saying myself, I'm talking about Trapped. They've gone platinum before. They didn't have to make a pro-America song with me, but they get no love from conservative press because people, and this isn't just conservatives, people like to promote what they dislike more than what they like. And that's why when I talk about certain things, I try to always infuse like a positive, grateful mentality into it if I can, because that's what it's about. It's about what you love. It's about being appreciative. It's not living your life putting a magnifying glass on what you dislike. And this is the exact same strategy that got Trump elected. They gave him $2 billion worth of free airtime. It's like I'm in the Twilight Zone watching conservatives make the same exact mistakes as Democrats, but when I tell them, they say the same exact thing that Democrats said to me. I said, you could look up my tweets from February, and even earlier than that, a year before the election, I said Trump would beat Hillary Clinton. No doubt in my mind. I was like, Trump is going to win. Trump is going to win. If you guys don't embrace the Bernie energy, or at least communicate with those tens of millions of people who support him, he's selling out stadiums, you're going to lose. And then they said, no, shut up. No, we're too good for you. We're too good for Bernie people. We're too good for Trump. We're so much better. We're the mainstream Democrats. Then they lost the election. And now, have they even pivoted a second? Have they learned a single thing? No, they just continuously blame everyone else, hate everyone else, refusing to take any self-accountability, and then wondering why it's not working quite as well as they want. But conservatives are giving them a foothold because now the right wing is doing these same exact things. And then they wonder why, oh, no, we don't have to do that because we're better. You're better to you. You're better to people over 30 plus, 20 plus. My average audience used to be like 15 to 25, albeit I was also much younger as well. Now my average audience is 20 to 40, and I have 60, 70, 80-year-olds watching. I love it. God bless you guys. I appreciate connecting with everybody. It's not about age. What I'm saying is there's a huge demographic that people are not hitting. So it's cool what we're doing. I love it. I know I'm getting some young kids too, but there's a huge demographic that if you want to win, you need to convince these people, and don't think that they won't vote for a Democrat. They'll go to concerts with people telling them to take pills and kill themselves, and there'll be millions of kids there taking pills and killing themselves to the music telling them to take pills and kill themselves. Don't think for a second they can't get 10 million kids to vote for them. They did in the midterm, and they're going to. So the reason I said this before I move on, I think the point is very clear, and I've lost over about half of my followers just to let you know how tolerant people are to the truth, and I guarantee you, after today of just simply telling the truth to the right wing, I'm going to be called a Zionist shill. I'm going to be called, Anomaly's trying to censor people who don't agree with them. Anomaly's a Luciferian because he doesn't want to talk about it. No, You misframe everything. You run everybody away. The kids don't like you. I can't have a conversation with hip hop culture. You won't allow me to operate in the energy and realm that I want to operate in. And then you're going to cry and complain when you lose an election and America goes socialist and communist. I'm just letting you know that's the direction that we're moving in. And I don't want it to happen. I'm doing everything in my power to prevent it from happening. And I would argue that there's very few people doing more than me. And I'm not taking credit, but I've done a lot of work the last year and launched a lot of people into orbit who have then done some of the most powerful work that's probably ever done in a decade. I'm not here to be a shill. The point I'm making is I'm not here to lie to you. I've already done the work, and I'll continuously do it because I enjoy it, and I've luckily made a career out of it rather than have to do it on the side. But that's what it is. And I would hate to see everything crumble. I had something else to say before I move on to the next topic. Guess we'll just leave it at that. Overall, self-accountability, self-awareness is very important. Not making fun of dancing and fun events, countering the argument of people, and also promoting people that can help you win the culture war, or learning that yourself. And luckily, on a positive note, we have a lot of former liberals who are conservatives now, a lot of younger people that I follow on Twitter who understand this, and they're getting knocked down continuously. Shout out to Megan Harris, shout out to Camilla, a few younger women that I follow. They're not that young, but I'm saying younger than 30, 40, 50, 60. And they understand this, and no one's listening to them, and everyone's hating on them, calling them they're not being liberal. Which would be fine if they were. They're explaining to you what you're doing is a total fail, and it's actually to the point where all of this new energy you gained, you're turning a lot of people away. Luckily, I understand what's right and true. I'm not emotional, but it's keep attacking people who have saved your lives and helped you. It's a very, very foolish strategy, and a lot of people have insight to why people don't like conservatives. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anybody here. I don't know anyone personally, but I know why the younger people don't like conservatives, because I didn't like, conservative ideology for 10 years. So I have 10 years of experience of why, and that's why my videos have been so effective, because I know why I thought that, albeit I was wrong. I go in on an angle. I go in it talking to those people, talking to myself 5 years ago, instead of talking down to somebody, hating on them, and making up false accusations just because they don't see eye to eye. It's really, really frustrating, and as optimistic and positive as I always am and will be, I'm starting to see we're moving in that direction quickly, and it's going to happen in a blink of an eye if people don't wake up. And what I did want to say, I remember now, is think about how powerful the left-wing media is before we move on. When a left-wing liberal is in office, such as Obama, we move left. When someone like Trump is in office, we still move left. They're so powerful, either we shoot left or we slowly creep left, and at a certain point, we're going to have to hold the ground because even with Trump in office, they pressure, and force him right. All it takes is one election, just as this House election, who knows how catastrophic this is going to be, to open the floodgates to hell. And we're very, very close. So we have to hold our line, and we have to also be effective and efficient in not losing everything. And I don't understand why that's so controversial or off-putting, but it's something that people are going to have to, and I know there's a lot of emotions behind it. I know it's been decades of liberals treating people terribly, but I guess I want to say this too before I move on. This is the same logic that I hear from the left. They say, well, we've been treated terribly for decades. The LGBT community, we've been treated horribly, so now we want to oppress people. This community's been treated terribly, so now we want to turn the tides and oppress you. I hear that from the left. I also hear that from the QAnon movement. Leaders in the QAnon movement have told me, oh no, the reason we act like that is because we're so used to being called conspiracy theorists. So now that we have all this attention and we're so successful and we got these big followings, now we're shooting that energy back at other people because we're emotional and we're nervous because we're always getting attacked. It's the same logic that the liberals use. Now let's move to just standard conservatives. No, we've been hated on by liberals for decades in the media, in America. They've always been lying about us. And now Trump won. Trump's in office and we feel strong and powerful, and finally, you know, the conservative or the Christian or the people who have been getting silenced and the working class person have been getting silenced. Now we have a voice. And I don't disagree with any of those things, from LGBT to you know, the conspiracy theorist movement to the standard conservative. You're right that you have been treated terribly for decades, but that doesn't mean that you make the same mistakes that you hate in others just because you've been treated terribly. That's the logic that people have. Oh, well, we'll murder white people in South Africa because we've been treated bad, so now it's okay that we do that. Oh, no, it's okay that America opens up its borders and gets completely destroyed from the inside out because this is stolen land, so let's just destroy it. It's the same logic, and it's all wrong. And I don't care if it comes from the right or the left. It's a losing strategy. If you want to win like Trump, you can't just revel in his wins and do nothing yourself. It's self-serving. It's counterproductive. And I'm so passionate about it for multiple reasons before I really move on. One, it's not working. Two, it's not going to achieve what you want to achieve. Three, it's not going to help anybody. And four, the broad accusations also affect myself and anyone else. It's like, what? I say one thing and then millions of people are going to start a conspiracy theory lie about myself. And then it's like one page that I disagree with because they're lying about who Nick Cannon is. I say something. Now I have 30 people saying, oh, what's Anomaly a Luciferian? Oh, Anomaly must be this. Oh, Anomaly's afraid of it. No, I just don't hang out with everybody. So if you're somebody who ruins my vibe and kind of lies about people that I know, then yeah, I don't want you around maybe. It has nothing to do with your race, religion, gender, political preference, conspiracy theories. I've dug deep into every conspiracy theory. To me, it's a very sophomoric, you know, childish behavior. Like, I've watched these YouTube videos since I was 18. And I knew that these things were real, but now that we're adults and now that Trump's in office and now that we're learning more and more and more, the foolish, goofy thing to do is call everyone something rather than dial into who it is. It used to be like, ooh, New World Order, who is it? We know exactly who's who. We know the leaders, we know the people, we know the news organizations, we know exactly who's who. So why in the world would you think it's a good idea to call everybody that just because they don't, you know, agree with you? I can't stand it, and it's making the right unpalatable. So take it with a grain of salt. Just take what I said, and please just consider it, because most of what I said, if not a high percentage of it, is extremely valid and one of the most important things people need to hear. And you notice, just to show you what a paradox the world is, and I'm not tripping about it. It doesn't really matter, you know, on to the next day. This is the least amount of listeners I've had in a year. So the most valid information, the most important information that people need to consider to actually be counterproductive and successful is the least popular message. This is the paradox of the world. The entire world operates in the yin and the yang because of this. History repeats itself, you know. The most important thing, people want to hear the least. The most positive thing, people want to promote the least. The most counterproductive and self-serving and also helpful to the opposition, like Alexandria OcasioCortez dancing, that's a trending topic on Twitter. You can't make this stuff up, but don't come running crying to me when all of the things that you want to happen don't happen because of those type of actions. I'm keeping this video up for a while. This video's staying. The last one didn't stay because I just didn't like my energy in it, but this one's fine. Hold on, my throat's a little sore. I gotta drink this. It's probably because I ate bread yesterday. I haven't eaten bread in a while. All right, second story of the day is, you know what? I might just change the title of this one and roll out. I'm gonna probably just take a shower and heal a little bit because I'm not feeling so hot. So I had a few more stories to talk about. I'm gonna just leave it at that though and take care of myself, and maybe I'll be back for the other three later. God bless you guys. God bless America. God bless your family. God bless the world. Just to wrap this one up, I'm not attacking people. I'm not accusing you if you're watching. I'm not saying this. You know how I feel about you. I've said it a million times. I'm simply just challenging people. And if this doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. Just like me. Some of this stuff might apply to me sometimes, you know, and I'm talking to myself where it's like, okay, let's take that into consideration and do that less. I'm not attacking myself or you. I'm just throwing it out there. And a lot of times I say not this time, it's a little more direct. I say broad things and people start feeling a certain way. They're like, oh, me? And I'm like, no, what I just sent a Lao Tzu quote. You know what I'm saying? That's a Bruce Lee quote. It has nothing to do with you, but people start feeling guilty when the shoe fits. And it's like, I talk too much, honestly. I talk, maybe 10, 20 tweets a day, 30 tweets a day sometimes, less, more. I'm not talking to you specific. I'm just like, this is the wisdom and knowledge and energy I'm putting out. 90% of the time I have no one in mind, or maybe a video or something spurted that had nothing to do with certain people, but it's like, it's not an attack on anyone specifically. I'm just using certain groups that are popular and certain things that are trending, and just throwing it out there, because it's like, man, if people can't consider what I just said, it's gonna be a long road. And I guess I'll wrap it up on this note. Is the big thing is I really liked the right, and I still do, as far as, well, one, they don't steal my money as much. Two, they don't steal my freedom. Those are very important things. But also, I realized that the mainstream liberal spirituality that everyone is saying that they have contains self-awareness and self-accountability and gratefulness. It's like the three most important things in mainstream, even liberal, spirituality: self-accountability, self-awareness, gratefulness. I found all of those on the right. And the second that certain things don't go in the direction that people wanted to, all of a sudden they have no self-awareness, they have no self-accountability, and they have little to no gratefulness, where it's like, it's not a competition of left and right all the time. It's like either you're that person or you're not. Either that's the vibe you're gonna do if you're not. It's like if Trump decided to steal $100,000 from me, not that I have it, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, well, it's Trump, so that's okay. It's like, no, that's why even when he did, the certain gun thing, I talked about it. I'm not gonna jump off the train or anything, but it's like, just because Trump does what I don't want him to do doesn't mean I like it now. So it's not an attack. It's a call. It's a emergency call for common sense and awakening, because I see what's happening with AOC, and it's not A-OK. It's not looking good. But overall, have a good day. Take care. I'm gonna take care of myself. Hopefully that wasn't too harsh. That's just something that I've talked about for months, and it really hit me hard today, not just on Twitter, but then on my own Instagram. I'm like, why are people having a meltdown? We've got so far. Why would we throw it all away when we're at the 1 yard line? So God bless. I'll be back.